they were on tour with Bon Jovi opening, and Robin called me and said, hey, we want to fly you out to New Mexico. And I wouldn't do anything, so they flew me to Albuquerque, and they were just playing arenas. And so I went to Albuquerque, then I went to Tucson, then I went to Phoenix, and then we flew to Orange County. And so I was with them for about a week and just kind of hanging out. And one of the things they were interested in with me, I found out once I got out there, is they wanted me to be their head of security. The reason I didn't do it is because I was afraid if I did that I would just be known as a bodyguard or security guy when I went to audition for a gig, because even in LA, the community is small. And if I went to audition for a gig, and they said, well, why are we auditioning him? He's, the head of security for Ratt. How's that work? So, because at the time I was Bobby's bodyguard, when we would go out, Bobby would hire me to be his bodyguard. Pearcy had hired me a couple times. A couple times I went out as Bruce Dickinson's bodyguard. So I was kind of known as that guy. And even though I was a musician too, I would go do these gigs mainly because the pay was ridiculously great to go out for a night. To drive Bobby around, I could make $300 for just a night's work. Never had to do anything. Only one time in the whole time that I did the whole bodyguard thing did I actually have a confrontation with a guy. And it was out when I was out one night with Bobby and his ex-wife. And as we were going to our seats, we were going to see Kiss. And it was Kiss, and I forget who was opening, I think Vandenberg. And as we were going to our seats, the special seats, as we walked to where the friends of the band sort of thing area was, some guy grabbed Blotzer's wife as we were going up and got kind of fresh with her, so I popped him. Bobby looked at me and said, well, I said, okay. So I friggin' nailed the guy and actually knocked him out. And that was, of all the times I bodyguarded people, that was the only time I ever actually had to hit anyone. So back to my original thing, the time I went out with Ratt for those 4 shows, one of the things was, hey, we'd like you to be the head of our security. And I was like, nah. And I think they were offering me $1,500 a week, which at that time would have been a lot of money.
Yeah, no doubt. And so how do you feel about that now? Do you wish you would have taken it, or are you glad you didn't?
No, because right around that time, right after that, is when I got the call to audition for Ozzy. And if I had been out on the road with Ratt doing that, I think I probably would have missed out on other things. Now, obviously, I didn't get an assigned band over that period of time. But
yeah, but
for Ozzy,
you met Jake, though, at that time.
Yeah, it'd be pretty fortuitous for me to meet him.
Yeah.
So, I've always done that sort of kind of work. I used to be a doorman at strip clubs and at certain rock bars. And then even when Halford, when I first met Halford, when he would go out at night, sometimes he would hire me to just go with him, because at the time, seeing Rob Halford in Phoenix was a pretty big deal. And so he would just pay me, and I would go out, and if anyone got out of line, which they never got out of line, but you know how people can be pretty, they really wanted to meet him and hang out with him and ask him questions. And if your client is just trying to have a bite for dinner or trying to just be at a bar and have a couple of drinks and chit-chat, having 5 or 6 guys just all over you or whatever saying, hey, man, how did you do the singing on Sad Wings of Destiny? And I really like British Steel and blah, blah, blah. After a while, hanging out is cool, but after a while, people want their space. So when I first got to LA, from being friends with Robin and Bobby, I told them that I had experience doing that as well, not for any other reasons, just from passing the time. Hey, I'm telling them about my life. They're telling me about theirs. It wasn't like, hey, man, if you guys ever need a bodyguard. It was just topic of conversation, and then Bobby ended up hiring me, and then that's how that kind of all started.